All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble. Of course, I do see that chat is moving. We have KMK0, no rush, just hurry up. Flaryl Maceo, have you fixed the chat filter stick? So unfortunately on my end, I don't believe there's anything I can do about the filtering of chat on Rumble. Spaz Out says, Mild Monday, ayo, how was your weekend, Sticks? Pretty good overall. And tonight, of course, we're having an easy dinner. Zirkul Stampot. It's good. Just trust me. A piece of meat with sauerkraut and potato mixed together. It's fairly basic. I will put ketchup on mine, of course. Maybe I'll get a hot dog bun, actually, for that chunk of meat. It's like a grill wurst or something like that. And Marcus Z, 1967, says, Morning, Sticks. Hello, hello. Also, hello to everyone tuning in on Twitter. I am, of course, making my live streams there now. I can't see what you're saying, though, because, again, I need a more sophisticated setup, but I'm going to have to move before that happens. Let's see. On Rumble, I do see. The plants, by the way, are taking a vacation outside in the yard. They got fertilized. I'm going to be repotting them. I want them to be healthy because, plants are cool. Stop hating each other. Sent $1. No comment. Thank you very much. Yeah, the plants are outside. Yeah, they're on vacation. I want to go to vacation in Iceland, actually. That's something on my bucket list, visiting Iceland, since I'm here in the fucking Europe anyway. Iceland, Tuscany and Italy, Ireland, and Poland probably. We'll be talking about Poland later, actually. A pretty based country. And Stop Hating Each Other sent another $1. Again, though, you have not sent an actual chat. You could get your word in edgewise if you wanted to. You can pay me to repeat whatever you say, unless it's something that's going to get me banned, of course. Yeah, Iceland looks good. I don't really care so much for cities, so their capital, well, I mean, I'd like to see it, I guess. I'm sure I can get some cool stuff there. Crowberry liquor, Hakarl, actually, which is fermented shark meat. But I would rather go and see like waterfalls and caves and glaciers and shit like that. Nick Ray, how about a new tech exclusive explaining in detail how 2020 was honked? I've made about a dozen of those so far. I'm sure that I'll make a dozen more. Stay tuned. Don't worry. Stop hating each other. Lowell Sticks, I was just hoping you'd shout out my new politics channel, Paper Politique on all platforms. Just posted first vid today. Peace and love, y'all. Okay, you get a freebie there, even though you didn't pay me to say that. Yeah, I don't know how to use Superchats on YouTube, or Rumble, for that matter. I've never gotten them to work. I've tried before. The Atlas Report, I love facts. Farts in my tummy. Yummy, yummy farts. Interesting. The Atlas Report is clearly a pseudo-coprophasiac. Oh, God. Anyway, we've got a lot to cover today. We got to talk about the, Jesus Christ, the Gal Luft saga. That has taken a very, very weird turn. Bud Light, I'm losing again. And this is a hilarious turn. This is not about the original Dylan Mulvaney fail, which is a big fail. It's actually about the backlash from them pivoting from the Dylan Mulvaney thing. So Budweiser just can't catch a goddamn fucking break. And we're going to be talking about that, of course. And there is an incoming border invasion in the United States. That's why there are a bunch of troops on the southern border for what very little they will actually be worth. You should just allow the states to handle it. They do a better job. Everyone would have to funnel through California. Gavin Newsom would be like, oh, new voters. Spider Eternal lived in Warsaw. Beautiful city. Poland. Yeah, Poland ball was a meme for a reason. We'll talk about the Hussars charging Nazi tanks and many other things, of course. But first, we'll get to the news in a second here. Something is wrong. As usual, tech difficulties. By the way, Jesus Christ, there's over 600 people watching live on Rumble already. Hello to everyone on Rumble Land. Yes, we are taking over. RS3 Tikul guy. Shout out for Tenbon for making fantastic voiceovers and horror short stories. Here's hoping his new military career goes well. Hunter Wadley. Had a debate on Florida politics. Requiring papers or work visas for undocumented immigrants is a good thing. By the way, if you want to get a copy of Orange Man Big, link is actually pinned if you're watching on YouTube. and it is in the description if you're over on Rumble. I think over on Twitter as well. Over 500 copies of Orange Man Big have sold. This is about 5 times as many as I expected to sell in the first week. It's been a spectacular success. I'm very pleased with it. It's a nice payday. People are getting what they want, which is satire of leftoids that are obsessed with Donald Trump in a sexual manner. So definitely take that link, get a copy. If you leave a review or if you just leave a rating, it really helps with Amazon's algorithm. Amazon, the one last new old tech site that actually is algorithmically like based in reality. And so if you get more ratings, if you get more reviews, it actually is meaningful. That doesn't happen on most other old tech sites. Amazon is the last one, the last holdout that still goes with the old way. They have my respect for that, by the way. Orange Man Big Part 2 as well. I'm currently writing. So there will be a second volume of those shenanigans. For those that enjoyed the first volume, there is a second forthcoming. It's already been outlined. I couldn't pass it up. And I got another idea today, actually, for a book. And please, if you see people arguing for or against gun control, it does not matter whether it's for or against. Please get me those tweets, etc., or links on DM on Twitter. I'm going to be writing a booklet to try to instruct people on the proper way to debate gun ownership / the Second Amendment / self-defense in a booklet form. I'm going to be putting that up on Amazon. I need your help, though. I need examples of arguments. I'm going to parse them into arguments that are sensible and arguments that are nonsense. Because even some pro-gun arguments that I've seen, like the fucking puckle gun and stuff like that, really they fall flat. They are easily defended against by the anti-gunners. And so what I wanted to do is write a primer on the arguments that can be made against gun control or for gun ownership, etc., and put it in a booklet form. So I need help with that. Any arguments that you've seen for or against gun control, it does not matter. Detail them for me and send them to me in a Twitter DM. I'll be making a booklet on that subject fairly soon. I'm currently working on 5 different literary projects. I'm editing one work, re-editing another one because I got undercut by some unscrupulous person on Amazon for the US market. So I'm going to be undercutting their undercut. And then I'm writing 3 fucking booklets. I've got my plate full, and I wouldn't have it any other way. The Patriot Chiro. If you haven't already, I'd love to create extra degenerate artwork for Orange Man Big. Maybe release a special edition for holidays. Actually, I already have somebody interested in illustrating cover art for the second volume, but I do appreciate your offer. Christian Workman Sticks, my beliefs closely align with John Doyle. He's great. I can't imagine the country can be fixed in under a generation due to how deep-seated the cultural problems are. It's a shame that there are World War II vets alive to see it. Yeah, imagine you're like 85 years old and everything that you fought for has already been destroyed. And the youngins don't understand that because they never grew up in that reality. The Atlas Report, $5, no comment. Thank you. Anyway, I love farts. Sticks, love yummy, yummy farts. Yeah, if you pay me, I'll say anything. That's all good. Sebastian Monroe. Shout out to Sneakiest Chameleon on YouTube. He makes YouTube poops and trolls Ghost and uploads his reactions. A criminally underrated content creator. If you make YouTube poop, I remember that from the late 2000s especially. Those were the days. Yeah. One of the few things I have nostalgia for, YouTube poops in their infancy. Dudes, listening to you live while digging a new garden patch to grow some veggies. I hope that you're growing a lot of them. You may need that extra food considering Bidenomics is going to collapse the economy. Stop hating each other. You have to pay $2 minimum. Pro tip, clankas. Oh, I didn't know that. You can't have a comment if you just pay $1? That's interesting. Didn't do nothing. Curious on your thoughts on nefarious. I don't know what that refers to. The Real Holtzinator. Would you ever have a discussion with Dev, aka Short Fat Otaku? Would be an interesting conversation. Yeah, I'd like to have conversations with a shit ton of people as well as debates. The problem is right now I'm on the wrong time zone, and so it's almost impossible to organize anything. I have to keep bouncing things. I've had dozens and dozens of people that want to debate alone, and dozens more that want to have me aboard for like a show or something, or they want to come aboard and talk with me about some subject. I just can't do it because the baby has to sleep. Zero the Hero 909 just bought your book. Looking forward to reading it. I think you will enjoy it. Chuck Flea, tradcons and neocons are an issue for the right. Absolutely. George, thanks for all the content over the years, Sticks. Oh, there is much more to come. No worries there. Adam Bowling, hey Sticks, today is my dog Pugsley's 15th birthday. Could you wish him a happy birthday? Thanks, man. Happy birthday, Pugsley, and make sure to get that meat bone up in you, boy. Christian Workman sent $10. No comment. Thank you very much. We also have on Rumble, Bana Layman, testing to see if the bank finally fixed my debit card situation. I believe that they did. Thank you for using me as your test subject. I will take that money and put it to good use. Duke 8789, got 2 copies. They'll be here tomorrow. Can the border state issue a state of emergency and enforce the border? Good morning, Clank Nation. Kind of. They can, but they can also get sued for it for some reason, as we saw in, I believe, Arizona. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but, yeah. Didn't do nothing. It's a movie, and since you're a fan of Le Pacte de Loup, a.k.a. Brotherhood of the Wolf, it's a good watch. I'll have to check it out. Thank you very much for that tip. Yeah, Brotherhood of the Wolf is my favorite movie of all time. First news story. This is a weird one. Hold on to your fucking seats. Israeli professor wanted for arms dealing vanishes before U.S. extradition. The Israeli professor was released on bail while a court deliberated his extradition to the U.S., where he is wanted for arms trafficking charges. Israeli professor Gal Luft, who is wanted by U.S. authorities for arms dealing, has gone missing in Cyprus after a Larnaca court had released him on bail, Cypriot website Philonews reported on Wednesday. Luft had been arrested at Larnaca International in southern Cyprus after Interpol issued an arrest warrant against him on suspicion of arms trafficking to Libya and China. He was then slated for extradition to the United States. Now, you may not know who Gal Luft is. Gal Luft, again, alleged arms dealer, Israeli agent, claims to have an inside knowledge of some of Biden's criminal problems. That is business dealings that are less than illicit, that are dubious at best. And now he's gone missing. On March 28th, this is a while ago, Luft did not appear at the Paphos police station as required. On the same day, his lawyer declared Luft a missing person and expressed concern for his client's life. Luft's abandoned vehicle was discovered a day later, and according to Philonews sources, Cypriot police are considering the possibility that Luft has left the country entirely, which means he's probably not going to appear again. Now, here's the problem. There are 2 possibilities. Either he was abducted, which is entirely possible, assuming that his story is true, and we'll get into why there might be skepticism, or he's fled the country. He just left. He's in Turkey right now. He's in Jordan, he's in Saudi Arabia, maybe Israel, and he's saying, fuck it. He was working for some foreign intel agency or something. Since he's Israeli, one would assume that the possibility is he's made his way to Israel. He's in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv right now, and the government is shielding him from extradition by keeping him under close watch in a nice house, in a nice penthouse somewhere. That's possible. Here's the problem. When Gal Luft says that he has knowledge of Joe Biden's impropriety, his business dealings, etc., it is entirely possible that that is a political deflection. I mean, really, I hate to defend Joe Biden because we know that he's corrupt. We know that he's done bad business dealings. That's beyond question at this point. But that doesn't mean necessarily that Gal Luft isn't trying to cover ass. So he may have just disappeared from Cyprus. This is all bullshit. And he was working for the Israelis in Intel, and now he's in Tel Aviv or something. The other possibility, although it's definitely an intercompeting one, is that he really does have inside knowledge on Joe Biden, etc. And he's been hushed up, or he's gone into hiding because he doesn't want to be hushed up. We're going to have to wait and see how this fucking plays out. I would note that the legacy media, despite the fact that an arms dealer has disappeared on bail before trial, before extradition, almost none of the legacy media outlets are talking about this. which lends credence to the concept that Luft is not bullshitting, that he does know that there's some inside knowledge there, maybe even documentation of Biden's impropriety, in which case, of course, they don't want to talk about him too much. They're hoping that he disappears. You may have competing forces behind closed doors, one force trying to keep him alive and hidden, and another one trying to hunt him down and kill him because of what he knows. We'll see what happens. I have a feeling that this is going to be big news over the coming months, that at some point he either appears or we find out he's dead. And so definitely the main news story of the day. I got several tip-offs about it. And at first I'm like, okay, most of the news stories, related to this, they're not necessarily from reliable sources, like Missing Link Media and shit like that. But yeah, I mean, the Jerusalem Post is talking about it, so I'm going to assume that it's true. Brain Biscuit, anything. Sigil Stone, an Israeli getting away with terrible crimes? The USS Liberty called and said it wasn't surprised. Also, you missed my first super chat. That happens constantly. Oh yeah, here's your other one. Morning Sticks ordered a VR system on Wednesday and got it on Saturday. The most expensive and fun way to make yourself motion sick that doesn't involve an airplane. I'm not too much into VR. I mean, it could be fun, I suppose, but I'd rather just be there with a controller and have a nice big screen. Ozzy's Robots. Morning Sticks, just returned from a long weekend at South Beach, Miami. Apparently, bikini standards have degraded faster than Brandon's mental acuity. Yeah, the G-string has been replaced by something that's even more revealing these days, which is really like a butt plug with a cover in the front, I think. Can't remember what it's called. Christian Workman. Oops, I meant to say I collect World War II items and got a Tornister rucksack. Very cool items. Oh yeah, Clank with an aluminum cup. I will clank along. I do have some coffee. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. I'm hyper-caffeinated. 2 cups of coffee and an energy drink. It's the way to live life. Tom Holmes, have you waited on the epic battle in Florida between Disney and DeSantis? Yes, I am Team DeSantis on that one, actually. On that one, I deviate from the average Trump fan. I think it is justified to go after their company town, and I wish DeSantis well on that. Gamer Gator, hey Sticks, I have an occult question. What is the real occult differentiation between spells, hexes, curses, and incantations? There is none. They're all spells. Also, can you say hi to my wife, Nora? We watch you every morning. Clank. Hello, Nora. Hi. Yes, to spell is literally to spell, like as in language. Just like grimoire is based on the French adaptation of the word grammar. It's the same thing. A spell is an incantation. A hex or a curse is just a spell that happens to be negative in character. That's the only differentiation. I would say that prayer is fundamentally similar too in many cases. Intensity Stream, 10 out of 10. Your voice and eloquent commentary is needed. Your reach and appeal to people that know the swamp is real and must be drained. Yeah, we're going to pull the plug on that fucking swamp. It's going to take a while. Barney the Dinosaur, don't think I forgot about you. Yeah, Barney the Dinosaur, oh God. My nemesis from the early 90s. By the way, Crow Minion has a good point. Hexen was a pretty good game once you learned the confusing maps. I liked Hexen for the N64 back in the day, based on the Doom generator. It was gory. It was because it was fairly unrealistic and pixelated. That's the only reason my parents allowed me to play it. I was far too young for an M-rated game. I liked it. A lot of puzzles, huge amount of fucking killing. I like the Reavers, you know, the disembodied sort of like demons with the helmets on, with the lower part of their body missing and dripping blood everywhere. I like those. That was fun. By the way, Korax was fairly difficult in the end. You had to pound away for a significant length of time to fucking kill him. King of Biltong, good morning from Antons in Roanoke, Texas. Hashtag Clank Nation. Next news story. Bud Light's Dylan Mulvaney controversy deepens. I wonder why. Oh, here's why. Chicago gay bars roar at beer makers' abandonment of cause. Chicago organization Two Bears Tavern Group is no longer selling Anheuser-Busch products, including Bud Light and Busch Light. Yes, Bud Light suffered a 26+% drop year over year for the same week in their sales. And so they came out and said, look, no, you got it wrong. Dylan Mulvaney's not a representative or anything. We sent him some customized beer and said, make a TikTok video. And that's it. You make a TikTok video for your largely 13-year-old brainless fans. Get them addicted to our booze. That way they can die in style because it's Budweiser. And they were suffering. They've suffered a huge loss in sales of their flagship brew, the most popular beer, I think, in the United States. Well, probably until now, at least. Now maybe Miller or Coors is more popular. They suffered a huge loss. And they said, what can we fucking do? We'll have the CEO come out and effectively disavow the situation. But now they're facing pushback because they've decided, hey, that's not really tenable. You know, if the main beer in the United States, or at least one of them, suffers that kind of catastrophic drop in drinkership, you know, we're killing fewer people with alcohol poisoning and liver failure. We're not going to survive as a company. That's the main brew that we offer. It's trickling down to the other Anheuser-Busch products as well, and we just can't do it. That's potentially tens of billions a year in lost profit. It is an enormous amount of money. So they decide to reverse course, right? Well, then the gay bars start bitching about it and saying, well, no. This was a good thing. It was good for you to have woke poison. You know, one form of poison will be LGBTQ compatible and have the rainbow flag strapped on it. And now you're going back on it. Well, we're not going to serve them. Anheuser-Busch products will no longer be served at some gay bars in Chicago in light of the beer giant's distancing from transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Two Bears Tavern Group, which owns 4 gay bars in the Windy City, and they're not the only one. This is a drop in the bucket. Called out Anheuser-Busch's InBev's abandonment of its support of Dylan Mulvaney on Thursday. The organization will no longer serve Anheuser-Busch beverages at their bars, which includes Bud Light, Goose Island 312, and Busch Light. Goose Island, by the way, sucks dick. If you want advice on piss beers, just get Foster's. It's the only one that's reasonably patable. Don't touch Samuel Adams either. Holy shit, Christ. It's like the beer was brewed in Germany. I've tried a few German beers, and they all smell like cat piss to me. So I don't know exactly what's wrong. I think it's masochism. Anheuser-Busch has partnered with Mulvaney in March, sending her a personalized pack of beer as part of an ad for March Madness and Mulvaney's first-year anniversary of her gender transition. And now, of course, they said, well, you know, we alienated every MAGA hat-wearing Bud Light drinker in the country, which is tens of millions of people. Maybe we want that fucking money. All right, well, we'll reverse course. We'll do the Super Bowl ad that's star-spangled at a country convention, and people are dancing around and drinking Budweiser and killing themselves slowly with their piss poison. They're the piss water, which is what beer is, and you should not drink alcohol at all if you can help it. Having a wine once in a while is fine, but seriously, give your liver and heart a rest. But now they're facing pushback in the other direction. They should never have done this. I love it. I absolutely goddamn love this. This is one of the best things that's ever happened in modern politics. And I think that here, you think of it this way. Poisoning yourself with vaguely alcoholic piss water is now a political issue in the United States. And how funny that is. Random 3263827. Occult question. The Hollywood brand of occult and Satanism that we see hints of. How BS is it? I've covered that before. In my opinion, the entertainment industry throws like pentagrams and Masonic hand signs and shit into music videos and stuff to get attention. Because people who otherwise wouldn't pay attention to it will spread it around anyway, namely fundamentalist Christians and people who are into that sort of side of things. They get extra ad clicks. They get extra revenue. Why wouldn't they? If I was going to make a mainline pop song, which I promise you, I vow that I would never do, yeah, I would put hocus pocus bullshit into it. It'd get more attention. I would deliberately antagonize people. That's the purpose of music at this point. Deliberately antagonizing people to get more clicks because the internet is such a bulwark of sales. Steve Watt, by the way, sending 100 Australian dollars. Thank you. It's been a while since I've commented, but not for Mr. Sticks, the spoon-clanking coffee bean man. Have a good one. Love ya. Thank you very much. Here's a clank to you. I'm going to die on a live stream of a massive heart attack from all the caffeine. Doubt Shadow. Holla at Phil Bowman of South Buffalo. Wrangling Chodes. I love the mimetic comments. This is like the highlight of my day, seeing the weird shit that people post sometimes. Drennan, thinking about taking my seed from last year. Your seed? And try to sow them around my neighborhood, just in case things get crazy this summer. I mean, you can. It'd be better to just purchase an extra acre or something if you have the money to do so. I'm sowing my seed, man. AOC wants Elon Musk to do that inside of her Sarlacc pit, by the way. I made a New Tech exclusive the other day on that topic. If you're watching on YouTube, you should definitely be following me on one of those other platforms, links in the description. Bracing for impact. Next news story. Biden world preps for Hunter Biden fallout. Biden aides are more worried about the personal toll it will take on the president as a father. I want you to take this link and I want you to read it. It's archived. Don't worry. You're not giving them any ad clicks, any revenue. Whole fucking boy, is this a fluff piece. The ultimate Copeaganda that I think that I've ever seen. And again, over the last few years, it keeps getting worse. It's like the Atlantic, Politico, Vox, and HuffPo, and a few others are competing to put out the most disingenuous, sappiest bullshit article of all. The whole gist of this article is that basically ignore the Hunter Biden laptop's connection to Biden's business deals as Joe Biden. Ignore the fact that he objectively, provably, photographically lied to the American people about business associates of Hunter's that he met with. Ignore that. That's not even mentioned in the article. No, what you should do is feel sorry for Joe because he'll be having a bad day if Hunter Biden is indicted. That is literally the gist of this article. You should feel sorry for these people. Poor Hunter. Republicans will attack him whether he's indicted or not. By the way, it is a 50-50. He did break the law. We know that. There's evidence of it. Whether they indict or not is a different story. That's not the ethos, of course, that I go with, or that many of you go with, but they are actually pitching it to their audience on Politico, so that's not a huge surprise. That we should feel sorry for Joe Biden. Well, he's a proud father, and his day is brightened by the fact that his son is such an enlightened and successful individual, and it would be such a shame if he got indicted. You know, thinking of Hunter in jail, it'll be agonizing for him. He'll have his head clutched in his hands. He'll be so sad. That's literally what this article insinuates. That's literally it. Read through it. If you read nothing else today, no Orange Man Big, although you should definitely read that too. By the way, again, link in the description to my new book. If you read nothing else today, please read this and you will chuckle. You'll probably find it fucking hysterical. I couldn't believe it when I read through it. I'm like, okay, bracing for impact, Biden world preps for Hunter Biden fallout. And it's going to be an article about, hey, Hunter Biden might get indicted. There's stuff on the computer that relates to Joe Biden. I expected it to be, you know, an actual news story. Nope. It's entirely from stage one. The entire thing is nothing but a fluff piece. One of the worst that I've ever seen. And that's going some at this point. Troy Neenan. How funny would it be if Tucker Carlson becomes a VTuber with a fox in a suit avatar? Weirder things have happened. Sparky, got my tomatoes planted. Okra is next. You wouldn't believe how expensive okra is in the Netherlands, by the way. I know it's fairly cheap if you go to the United States because they can grow it all over the South. It's cheap, or if not massively cheap, at least it's not expensive. I'm not even going to tell you how much it fucking costs in a grocery store here when it's in season. It's formidable. It's like I would like to put some of you in the chili. I would like to bread and fry some of you. I'm not willing to pay several dollars a bite for okra. I'm not exaggerating, by the way. The Patriot Chiro. Sticks, I've given you enough of my money for you to say my screen name correctly. It's the Patriot Chiro. I am the Patriot Chiropractor. Love you, friend. Okay, the Patriot Chiropractor. My apologies. You never made that clear before. Didn't do nothing. It's basically an atheist priest who has a battle of wits with a demon on death row. Great movie. That does sound interesting to me. Semwi Osugi, what's your take on the U.S. bases in the Philippines near China? Clank from the Philippines. I would say you're either going to have U.S. or Chinese bases there. Unfortunately, because of your particular geographic position, there is no other alternative. I think that it would be wise to side with the West, especially considering China's rhetoric towards Taiwan. And With regards to the South China Sea, it appears to believe that your country should not have territorial waters, that it's all China. They do the same thing to Vietnam, even though they're their fellow communists. If they're willing to ram Vietnamese fishing vessels on a regular basis, the fuck do you think they would want to do to you with a marginally capitalistic economy? By the way, I'd love to see the Philippines sometimes. It looks nice. Islands everywhere, you know, fucking jungle and shit like crocodiles. Oh, and the food. Oh, Filipino food looks fucking great. I'm going to come to your country sometime and eat everything. Troy Neenan. Anyone looking into Big Pharma bribing politicians to turn abortions into a trend for stem cell research materials? Lots of grants go to stem cell research. I support stem cell research. I suppose that if there's going to be an abortion that's done, you know, if you can gather stem cells from, you know, the remains, at least maybe it saves someone's life. So, I don't know. I know it might be a little bit grisly, and some of you will definitely disagree with me, but if some good can come of a, you know, an unfortunate situation, yeah, do good. Didn't do nothing. Atheist doctor, my bad. Fucking Mondays, lol. Pilgrim Media. I was building wild yarns on ChatGPT. Wild stuff. I don't even know how to use ChatGPT. I guess Elon Musk is going to create a variant of AI for that purpose. I'll have to look into it. If Elon markets something that's easy enough to use for a boomer like me, yeah, I'd like to look into it. SP Elite, guarantee you this recession will end all the woke. Doubtful. There will still be wokeoids out there, unfortunately. Swamp Donkey 69420 on Rumble. The legacy media is also saying the shooter and vehicle rammer in Texas were both white supremacists. They're both as mestizo as possible. Lol. Yeah, they immediately trotted out the likely Nazi line, and that remains to be seen. We're not 100% sure. I think if the vehicle rammer even was on purpose, it could have been someone losing control. They're blaming Nazism, basically. Ashley, nothing like grizzled fetus in the morning. Yeah, Fetus Milkshake was an interesting song. Ozzy's Robots. The Mint in Box movie will be filming in my museum May 19th to 21st. If any clankers are around northeastern Florida, they can pop in as extras like in Pawn Stars. P.S. How about a plug to the Mint in Box channel? Consider it a plug. We'll have to visit that fucking museum. We'll have to screen Brotherhood of the Wolf or something. Next news story, why the U.S. expects a border surge and is deploying troops. Yes, thank you, Biden. You've done such a great job with the southern border. Absolutely spectacular, completely flawless. The layer of duct tape that has been holding up U.S. immigration policy will be ripped off, and nobody seems completely ready for what's next. That's right, Title 42 is ending soon. And I love this aside. Big city mayors up north are complaining they are overburdened by migrants bussed from Texas and want action from the federal government. Yes, sharing the migrants around to northern cities, New York, Chicago, Detroit, etc., is not going over so well. You'll remember when DeSantis sent a bunch of migrants to Martha's Vineyard, and all the people there very quickly hustled them along after letting them stay in the church instead of in their fucking mansions. You could have fit all of them in a single small Martha's Vineyard McMansion, by the way. They didn't want them around their kids. They didn't want them around their immaculately maintained gardens or anything like that, or their kitchens. They wanted them to sleep in the church. Border towns are already bursting with migrants sleeping on the street. What they're expecting is that when Title 42 ends, there's going to be a massively renewed surge of people from Central and South America, as well as parts of Mexico, into the United States. This is why the troops are there. You could solve the problem. You could go back to what we were doing under Donald Trump. You could complete the border fortifications. You could properly staff the southern border. Hell, you could create a fucking no man's. It'd be cheaper to create a no man's land 100 yards wide and say, look, if you come illegally, we're going to shoot you. You're not allowed here. You come in the normal way or you don't come in at all. And in the end, 99.9% of people wouldn't make the trek. It would solve the problem. But the reason for this is that the Republicans want slave labor for their corporate allies. They want people to be in underground structures, spinning the linen and printing out the silk screens and stuff for sub-minimum wage. It's a lot cheaper for their buddies in the corporations, especially near the border. The Democrats see it as a gift. They think that eventually you'll have amnesty and these will become Democratic voters. And so there's a trade-off. By the way, to the migrants, I hope you understand the Democrats are using you and don't actually intend to ever grant you amnesty. They talk about it constantly. Why has there never been an actual attempt to grant it to you? That's because they want you to support them. They want you on the streets protesting. They also like the corporations, so they're willing to go along with the Republican slave labor concept. And how wonderful, your kids come across unaccompanied and a third of them fucking disappear and end up slaves. Your kids are being prostituted right now. Your 10-year-old kids are being prostituted to perverts in the United States because of Joe Biden's border policy. How lovely. What a wonderful policy. It's definitely, that's exactly what the Statue of Liberty meant by the huddled masses. Bring us your tired and poor. Bring us your tired and poor. Bring those little kids and send them to an island in the Virgin Islands where they can be predated upon by celebrities. That's exactly what they meant. That's American opportunity for you. That's exactly what they had in mind in the middle of the 1800s. I don't think so. But that basically is what's happening. I hate to tell you, but a large proportion, a double-digit proportion of the unaccompanied minors are now sex slaves. Many of the others are now slaves in other ways. If you come over in any manner, you'll probably be raped by the agent that processes you, and then you'll get raped a couple more times before you end up under a bridge. How lovely. Yeah, you make $2 an hour silk screening and living 10 people to one hovel under the radar of the justice system. This is Biden's fault, by the way. It wasn't happening under Trump. There were still illegal crossings. There was still illegal immigration. The border was still a mess, but it was far less of a mess. And trying to deflect and claim that it wasn't as much a mess then as it is now is bullshit. It was clearly far more orderly. An attempt was being made, and part of that was simply Trump paying lip service to the concept of deporting people. Whereas Biden, when he was running for election and for some time thereafter, said, "Come all ye faithful." Now, more recently, Kamala has said, "Don't come, please don't come." But nobody's listening to you. Now you're ending this particular practice, which forces people to be processed on the other side of the border. Why the hell wouldn't they come? They know that the border is porous. They don't even have to pay a coyote to traffic them across. They'll just come, they'll just walk across. There's nothing stopping them. There aren't enough agents to do so. That's because there's no coherent border defense system. And Biden's not going to build one because, of course, he wants that slavery. Sparky. In Georgia and Alabama, okra does so well that it's hard to keep up with harvesting it. Too bad globalists try to keep family farmers down over there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would think this climate would be okay for okra. It's not as hot and sunny, but, you could start it in a greenhouse or something. SB Elite, it will definitely be on its way out soon, though, in my opinion. Unfortunately, I don't think so. JS3Mar, abortion traps another spirit in the time cube before it can get the chance to ascend. More minions for Saturn. I don't necessarily agree with your occult summation of abortion's effects on the spiritual body. Lifecock, I saw Blood Incantation live last week. It was sick, bro. Sounds cool. Mojo Hansen, I'll never go back to the States. Fuck that. I'll be going back to the States. It'll be fun. The Patriot Cairo, since hospitals can't turn anyone away with over 1 million new illegals, who the fuck do you think is going to pay their hospital bills? Us. Yeah, you're going to pay for that and much, much more. Job training and education and everything else. Ashley, they can't let the help sleep in the same houses themselves. Why not let them sleep downtown? The smell of dirt and urine reminds them of themselves. Yeah, that's exactly how the Martha's Vineyard NIMBYists think. It's like, oh, look at these brown people. Oh, they're so quaint. They're so lovely. I love tacos, with the unseasoned hamburger, the ground beef, the uncooked taco shell, the mayonnaise and shit, the olives, black olives and shit like that. I love tacos. Oh, Pedro, you make such great tacos. Now, okay, it's 8 o'clock. It's time to go to the church. That's where they've gathered you people. Drennan, sorry, my ADHD got the best of me. Last super chat. Anyways, do you plan on writing a book on linguistics? Not at this particular time. Sparky, LED grow lights make growing legal crops from seed economically viable for small farms and hobbyists. They're cheap, last long, and are efficient. Yeah, but a sodium vapor lamp is expensive, but it feels just like the sun. I want to get one of those sometime. Nick Severance. Sticks, I'm in Maine, and the Brunswick School has like 30 different languages to translate. What the fuck? I love your show. You're awesome, man. Been watching for years. Interesting. Patriot Cairo. Okra needs full sun and heat. Yeah, it's tasty, although it's kind of overrated unless it's in a chili. BW, wish Republicans weren't Dems in disguise, so they cared about winning. Then they could fight for the border. Black-pilled. Yeah, I know, but keep in mind that's just the unipartists. The MAGA Republicans actually are attempting to fight. Swamp Donkey 69420 over on Rumble. Texas should just unilaterally act on their own deportations to host nations. Just flat out ignore whatever the Fed boys say. What difference does it make at this point? They could possibly get away with it if a couple other states got aboard. They'd get sued, but, who cares? Next news story. Black man charged with murdering 2 white strangers in Oklahoma because of their race. This is an actual racially motivated attack in Tulsa. Carlton Gifford allegedly shot and killed 2 men to whom he did not have any connection on April 18th, according to the Tulsa Police Department. Police say Gifford, who, according to jail records, is homeless, went inside the Rudisill Library around 9:40 a.m., walked up behind a man sitting at a desk, and shot him in the back of the head. The victim was rushed to the hospital where he died. After the library shooting, police say Gifford went to nearby Quick Trip convenience store and shot 55-year-old James McDaniel in the back of the head. When the victim fell to the ground, the suspect shot him again. McDaniel died at the scene. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up, because, you got 2 people shot. It's sad, but it's not even a mass shooting. This is the real racial violence in the United States. How many of you were not even aware of this story actually existing? You've heard about the vehicular ramming in Texas. You've heard about the mass shooting down there. You hear about mass shootings when the perpetrator is white or an NRA member, which never happens, Gun Owners of America or something like that, a political motive. You never hear about it when there is an actual, genuine, largely established racial motive. That's because most often it's not a white person killing people of color. That's the reason why. How many of you, I'm sure that there are plenty of you who have not even heard about this particular story as of a couple of days ago in Tulsa. And originally I saw it and I'm like, okay, a couple people shot. It's morning in America again, say the liberals as they whine about the existence of the AR-15. By the way, I believe he used a handgun, actually. Another reason why they're not talking about it. They can't talk about how evil assault weapons are. So he killed several people because they were crackers, because they were honkies. So that's why you're not hearing anything about it, because the victims were not the right color and neither was the perp, and the gun used, I believe, was improper as well. It's not the kind of gun that they can reasonably try to ban. This happens on a regular basis. It's fucking horseshit is what it is. They're not willing to talk about the real crimes that happen in the United States. The average mass shooting, which is 4 or more people killed or shot, it happens in the inner city. It is usually not interracial at all. It's usually singularly racial. It happens in a blighted area that's almost invariably run by far-left Democrats. I wonder why that is. Could it be that cities suck? I think so. I've been saying it for a long time. Yeah, fuck the city. This is about as big a city as I would want to live in. Enschede is about the size of fucking Burlington in Vermont. It's big enough to have things going on, but it's not exactly, it's not Amsterdam, so to speak. The Patriot Cairo. I try to talk to even normie Republicans about globalism, and I get the fluoride stare. Yeah, unipartists, don't even bother. You'd be better off talking to a goddamn leftoid. Next news story. By the way, please send no more super chats. I'm going to rush through these because I've got a couple other things that I got to do later. Why Poland will be Europe's next superpower. Country has shaken off communism's shackles to stand up to Putin as Germany and France dither. This is about the rise of Poland. Let me say a couple things. First and foremost, it's not simply departing from communism that has allowed Poland to become a reasonably powerful and astute nation. It's not the only reason. Part of it is the fortitude of the people. That shouldn't be undermined. The people of Poland have been suffering for a very long time. They get tired of suffering, so they're working hard to build something better. Poland also has a bigger land area than a lot of European nations. It's more on par with Germany as far as its area goes. Germany's having problems due to decadence. France is having problems due to political intrigue. Poland doesn't have such problems. It has resources, etc. It's arming. And I would point out something. I think that the Polish people should all be armed. I know that in the wake of the Ukrainian invasion, the war by the Russians, they started rearming people and they started giving military training to Polish citizens. You should go further. If Poland were to adopt something similar to the Second Amendment, I'd be tempted to relocate to Poland. It'd be fun. Go somewhere in the hinterlands. Go to the Carpathians. Can you imagine? Go to the Carpathians with wolves and shit, and old ruins, and you have your 10 hectares of land and your AK-47. That'd be pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. You do a lot of fucking farming out there too. Poland is pretty cool. And it seems that left and right both agree, by the way, that Poland is based. Nobody has a problem with the Polish. By the way, I saw a poll. This was years ago, so I don't know if it's still true. In the Biden era, probably not. I saw a poll years ago, and they were talking about nations and the perception of the population towards the United States. And there were a couple of nations in the world, actually 3 of them, that had a more positive appraisal of the United States than U.S. citizens did. And Poland was one of them. I think the other 2 were Vietnam and the Philippines, if I remember correctly. And I thought Vietnam was the funniest because, like, okay, we're sorry for invading you. We're glad that we're friendly now. I think Japan was up there too. Yeah, Poland is pretty good. I'd love to see Poland at some point. Good food, good culture, good people. Seems clean. It's not all hyped up with the fucking wokeness of Western Europe, by the way. It's still got all of your old abbeys and cathedrals and stuff. And the Carpathians, I've always wanted to see them. So I fuck Krakow and shit like that. I'll go out to the hinterlands into Peasantville and, dig around in the soil, see what I can grow. That'd be fun. BW, the panel in Cali finally decided on money rep. Oh, yeah, the reparations in California. I'll look into that later. I'll probably cover it tomorrow. Sparky, fried or in stews, soups and gumbos is where okra shines. If you boil it by itself, add some vinegar to the water so it won't be slimy. I've had fried okra before. We actually grew okra years ago in the garden in Vermont. It did grow well. It did actually produce. You're supposed to start it indoors, 8 weeks beforehand for more okra, but we did get a couple of good flushes. It was tasty. That's just... for what you get, I wouldn't spend any significant amount of money on it, for example. Dark Gary 92. You can't tell me what to do, sir. Now take my money. Oh, I'll take it. I'm just saying that at some point I have to go offline, my man. I'd only do this for so long. Swamp Donkey on Rumble. There was also a white college girl hiking that was raped and killed by a black guy. Whites are targeted more than anyone else. Fact check true. Whites are disproportionately the victims of interracial crime. I would point out that most crime is not interracial to begin with, but that statistic is true. Sigil Stone, another scholar speaking truth to power and sticking it to the man. No surprise there. Far too many such cases. Ozzy's Robots. I don't 100% know if I'm allowed to repeat that one on YouTube. It has to do with FBI crime statistics. We know that that's a sticking point for some people in the United States. By the way, it's not a sticking point for anyone here in Europe. It's very funny. The United States, above all nations in the world, codifies the concept of speaking freely and expressing yourself the most. And yet, as far as the cultural side goes, like censorship by corporations and the woke lynch mob is actually one of the worst. It's very, very strange. And then, final news story. Turnabout for Tucker is Carlson 2024. Now, this is an RCP article. I like RCP by Frank Meal. What this article suggests is that Tucker Carlson is very coincidentally locked into a contract with Fox until shortly after the 2024 election. Ergo, he can't necessarily, he can do a podcast or something, but he's got a non-compete agreement with Fox News. The idea is that Fox has effectively taken him off air, but is going to keep paying him in order to keep him silent. They're getting money from Soros and others, which is true. They have the same investors as CNN. I've warned people for years about Fox, and they paid me no heed. And at last, it's time to pay the fucking piper. Who was goddamn right and righteous on this particular issue? It was Stick, Sex, and Hammer. I've warned for more than half a decade. Anyway, there is a potential way out. Tucker Carlson could run for the presidency. Fox would be effectively forced to nullify his contract at that point because, of course, he's going to have to make media appearances. He's going to be legally entitled to do so as a presidential candidate, and you're not going to be able to uphold that contract anyway. You can go ahead and litigate if you want to, but election law would supersede your actual contract. He's got the right to go on your competing networks, say what he wants. He's got the right to put himself out there online if he wants. He can make the podcast. He can join Rumble. He can sign another contract. Yours would probably be nullified by a court upon litigation anyway. It's a long shot as to whether he would do this in order to get out of his contract. It's quite clear that generally he supports Trump. And if he were to run, it would probably be for the purposes of getting out of his contract. By the way, as a preemptive, in the off chance that Tucker does get in, it is likely that that would be the reason why. So if he does get in, please, Trump fans, don't jump down Tucker Carlson's throat right away. Wait and see what he does, because it could be for a strategic purpose related to his Fox contract. It appears that they want to silence him. They've taken him off air, but they're not releasing him from the contract. If they're willing to pay the man $20 million goddamn dollars in a year without even allowing him a slot to appear in, the writing's on the wall. They're clearly just trying to hoodwink him and keep him from speaking out. If he gets the sense that that's going to happen, he probably should announce a presidential bid. Even if, it would be a joke. He's not actually running. He's trying to run interference for Trump, but he's trying to get out of his contract in order to do so. That would be interesting. By the way, for Trump, there are worse people that you could choose for a running mate. Rand Paul appears to be out of the running, even though I like him a lot. I would love him to be VP. I would love him to get that executive experience and go on to a presidential bid in 28 or whatever. While I would love that, it appears very unlikely. There are others. Carrie Lake would be viable. That being said, you would be effectively compacting the ire of the left on you and the party over the 2022 and 2020 elections. That may or may not be wise. You would definitely harden your core. I don't know how much independent outreach you would do. Tucker Carlson would be potentially on the list, for running mates for Donald Trump in 2024. You could do worse. You do far worse. Tucker Carlson has some of the skills and chops necessary. If you were to get him into a VP position, I think he would be formidable. He's clearly got speaking talent. He would be a formidable potential presidential contender. Therefore, 4 years later, that would be really, the Uniparty would fucking hate that, because clearly he got canned for a reason. Fox as a network is corrupt as all hell. They're unipartyists, they're neocons, globalists, etc. They're controlled by the same people that control CNN. Tucker was the one reason why people pushed back against me, actually, when I criticized the network. Well, Fox still has Tucker. Well, I don't have it anymore. He's not allowed to do anything. Would it not be absolutely telling, though, if they're willing to pay him to do nothing? If they are that desperate to keep him on the sidelines because he was the one person on the network willing to interview Trump, I would think that would be massively transparent, and shame on anyone who wouldn't recognize it at that point. So we'll see what happens with that. He'd be a much more interesting VP than Kamala or Pence now, wouldn't he? Mike Pence was a no-show. Kamala managed to one-up him somehow. Sparky, okra is part of the hibiscus family. I didn't know that. By the way, did you know that hollyhocks are actually fully edible? You can make hollyhock leaves into a salad. You can eat the flowers and the stems too. I didn't know that until recently. I was looking up weird recipes and stumbled upon hollyhock salad. Apparently, they're fully edible. I wish I had known that years ago. I would have eaten that shit. They grow huge. Grew one that was like 6 feet tall and showy plant. BDan82, your videos have made my morning coffee better. I'll clank to you, my friend. Slurpage. Now, when you got a mustache, you gotta get the drips off of it. Sparky, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West should be Trump's running mate. Uniparty hates him. Another possible choice? Yeah, absolutely. As far as Tucker goes, though, I mean, trust but verify. You're out at Fox. You're doing some independent stuff yourself. I'll give him credit for that. I want a little bit more meat on those bones, but it could be viable. By the way, please send no more super chats. I still got a couple over here on Rumble. Sean487, if whites are guilty as a race for reparations, then a lawsuit should follow against the African Barbary pirates enslaving more whites than America did. Yeah, the Barbary slave trade, Arabs, North Africans, and others, really, were the main ones that were doing slavery. What about the tribes in Africa themselves, in Central Africa, Nigeria and Ghana, places now? They didn't want to stop. Some of these tribal warlords that were there didn't want to stop enslaving people. It had been happening before Europeans arrived. It was lucrative. They saw it as a part of the right to war. You beat them in war, you enslaved them, man, woman, and child, generally speaking. And then you realize that the Europeans were willing to give you all sorts of cool shit if you sold them to the Europeans. Sparky, mallow, where marshmallow flavor comes from, is also hibiscus. I know of that one. By the way, marshmallows, generally speaking, don't have any marshmallow in them. They are basically just textured sugar. And Sean's follow-up, by the way, the American Marines were formed after England tried to butt of the African pirates who over centuries enslaved over 14 million whites. They were formed to fight them. Yeah, and to defend naval vessels and so forth. Pirates were notorious for grabbing up ships and selling people. Sigil Stone, never trust Tucker. A millionaire isn't better because he's our millionaire and says what he wants to hear. See DeSantis. He could have a change of heart, considering the way that he's been treated. We'll wait and see. Jury's still out on him. Same with Elon, to an extent. Although the proof is in the pudding. He's going in a good direction with Twitter. We'll see if Tucker signs an exclusivity contract with Rumble or something like that. Clearly, he's flown the coop at that point, which is why they'll try to character assassinate him as much as possible. Anyway, I think I'm going to go offline here. I will be back tomorrow with another live stream. Don't worry. Although on Wednesday and Thursday, the live streams may be at a slightly different time. Going to the pool on Wednesday. Yes, the baby is going to learn how to, well, not swim, but splash around in the water. I'm looking forward to swimming myself. And then on Thursday, I have another driving thing. I have to learn to drive on European roads. I'm improving, but the road rules here are definitely more complex than in the United States. So I'll try my best. I'll try not to crash or anything like that. That's about all. Peace out.